This is a special presentation from the Brighton Central School District Board of Education.
Welcome everyone to the Brighton Central School District Board of Education meeting for October 13th, 2020. Please take note that the Board of Education of the Brighton Central School District, in response to the continuing ongoing emergency circumstances caused by the COVID-19 pandemic and consistent with the New York State Governor's executive orders, will be conducting its scheduled public meeting this evening, October 13th, 2020 at 7 p.m. and to be held via Zoom and Zoom webinar through our website. In a moment, we will offer the public who may be watching the opportunity to offer public comments. You may ask a question or you may make a comment. For those members of the public that are on the Zoom at this point in time on the webinar, if you go to the chat feature and put your name and your address in that feature, add it to the list, and we will call on you during the public comment section that will be upcoming shortly. In addition, any members of the public that wish to comment further, you certainly are welcome at any time to send an email, either directly to Dr. McGowan. You could send it to me, you could send it to the entire board, or you could direct it to our district and board clerk, Kim Lanzafame. All of our email addresses are on the website, and we will get back to you with further information if you have a request or a question, and we will get back to you with an answer. So before we move to further into our evening, I would turn it over to Dr. McGowan for a brief comment.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Kanich. I appreciate that. And the opportunity to begin our meeting a little bit differently. I'd like to acknowledge a current event essentially before us, and one related to a past that I think we should remember and recognize. Yesterday, we didn't have school, as everybody knows, due to a federal holiday that is called Columbus Day. And our 7th grade social studies students have been discussing this holiday, the history of Columbus, the treatment of indigenous people of the time and since then. In fact, the occasion has caused many in many different organizations, many school districts, municipalities, et cetera, to refer to yesterday as Indigenous Peoples Day. We even had students who we know demonstrated in support of this concept at 12 Corners yesterday. I know that the students will make their case clear to you and be in touch with you as a board further to think about that issue. And I think it'll be really interesting to see where their thinking will leave all of us. So kudos to them for doing just that, thinking and causing a dialogue and engaging in a conversation about an important issue. But in the meantime, I'd like to actually ask us to consider this a little bit differently and ask that we take a moment as we reflect on the fact that we are meeting, in fact, in a sacred space that did not belong to any of us. Those native to our area, the Seneca tribe, were the victims of many abuses through the colonialism that we benefit from today, including the burning of their villages by the American forces of the Revolutionary War because of their allegiance with the British. We owe them a debt, and at the very least, an acknowledgement that this was their land, their space, and we benefit today from the injustices that they suffered. With that limited and not nearly deep enough explanation, but one that might simply contribute to a conversation that is being had by our students, and I thank them for that conversation and encouraging us, we're ready to continue, knowing the space that we're in and reflecting on that for a moment. So thank you for the opportunity to say that and to start that way, especially as it's in proximity to that, to Columbus Day and to the holiday.
Thank you very much, Dr. McGowan. On behalf of the entire board, we appreciate your words tonight and look forward to further dialogue. So thank you. Tonight also is a special night in that New York State School Boards Association provides an opportunity once a year for school board recognition. That is the recognition of those who volunteer to serve on school boards throughout New York State. And we appreciate that the Brighton Central School District is engaging in that effort tonight. So I turn it back over, I guess, to Dr. McGowan to, begin those recognitions.
It's my pleasure. I'd really like to do that. We're really excited to begin that conversation, although officially across New York State, that week begins the 19th. And is recognized throughout New York State, and by proclamation of the governor as recognition for school boards and their service. And I know typically when we have this conversation, you're all as very humble leaders in this district, a little bit abashed by the concept of being acknowledged for what you take very seriously as a service to the district that you volunteer for and do so with a tremendous amount of humility. But it is also important for us to pause as a school community and thank you for that, and to recognize the work that you do on our behalf and behalf of our children. As the School Boards Association has said, commitment to public education by school board members is one of the most important citizen responsibilities, overseeing the education of the youth in our community. It doesn't get much more important than that in terms of the decision making that we make. I have for years talked to you about the history of school boards and how fascinating it is to me personally, and the fact that I probably need more hobbies, that this evolved from the common schools and from the notion that in colonial times we had small groups of people that would decide what they wanted taught for their children. They'd hire a traveling teacher, so to speak, as this progressed in our history, and they would determine how much coal to make sure was there, how much wood, how many kids would be taught, what age levels they would be, et cetera. And they represented their community in that conversation. When we look even at our old school board minutes, which Kim has spent a tremendous amount of time, as a matter of fact, archiving, we see those same kinds of decisions back in the history of our schools and school districts, that you follow in a long line of people elected by community members to make this most important decision on behalf of their children, to think about the talent that is available to come and work with their kids, to support them with policy, to support them with resources, and to guide the decision-making of the district, again, based on the wish of citizens. And officially, the School Boards Association says boards of education guide their local school systems and ensure public schools are flexible and responsive to the needs of the community. And how much time do we spend having those kinds of conversations with community members about what they're looking for and how to be responsive to that, and what we can do with resources we have based on the desires that are expressed to us. School boards are comprised of volunteers, most of whom, and in our case, all of whom, don't receive any compensation for their service. They are individuals within the community who dedicate their time to improving public education. School board members statewide collectively oversee more than 2.4 million K-12 students and $85 billion in budgeted spending. This is across our state. With school children their primary focus, school board members create a shared vision for the future, set the direction of a school district to achieve the highest student performance, provide accountability for those results, develop a budget presented to the community, and align resources to improve achievement. They support a healthy school district culture in which to work and learn, and much more. There are 690 public school districts in New York State, each with its own Board of Education. There are also 37 boards of cooperative educational services, otherwise known as BOCES, that also have boards of education. And all of these volunteers across the entire state of New York do such an incredible job, again, helping us understand what the community would like and then shepherding us towards better outcomes for their kids. So we greatly appreciate the service that you provide. Here in Brighton, you volunteer for so many committees. It is not just the twice a month meeting, or in the springtime, just about every week meeting as we consider the budget, but you are serving on numerous committees and helping to shape decision-making on a day-to-day basis. And frankly, this past 6 months has been such a great reminder of that contribution, as you have spent a considerable amount of time contributing to the dialogue over reopening and management of the closure in the first place, and how to make sure we were best supporting our kids and all the different ways we were gathering information. So we thank you so much for that service and are so happy to recognize you this evening. It's now my pleasure to turn it over to, on behalf of the PTSA, Emily Minerva, who would like to also address the board this evening.
Hello. Sorry, now my dog is barking, and I'll keep it short. On behalf of the Brighton PTSA, we would like to donate $200 in the name of the Board of Education to the Brighton Food Cupboard. And thank you for all the work. I know you've been working extra hard with all this challenging past couple of months, and will probably be challenging couple of years upcoming. But that's particularly why we feel it's important to make a donation to the Brighton Food Cupboard with all the challenges everybody's facing. But thank you. We appreciate you. Volunteers, to other volunteers, thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Appreciate that. Now I'd like to turn it over to the president of the Brighton Teachers Association, Judy Wagman.
Good evening, everyone. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Oh, that's good news. I've never had so many thumbs up. That's great. So thank you. Thank you for giving me a moment to be with everyone this evening. Really, on behalf of the Brighton Teachers Association, makes up approximately 380 faculty and staff members of Brighton Schools, representing our nurses, our academic support instructors, and our teachers. We'd like to thank the Brighton Board of Education this day, this week, this month, this year, every year previous and every year to come for all of your efforts in support of our students and our families, and certainly in support of faculty and staff as we try to do the job of educating our children and working with families across the district. Really, even though the circumstances are rather extraordinary that we find ourselves in this year, I actually think your work and your efforts are no different, no more, no less than they have always been, which have been exceptional. Great advocacy for our families and for our faculty and staff as you work with the state to try to get the funding that we need. Great efforts and dedication on your part as you work to get us the materials we need in the classroom, in the front line, and the professional development that we search for to do the very best we can do for our students. So we're truly grateful for the partnership that we have with all of you. And as Kevin mentioned, you're so extremely visible in our schools and on our committees and working side by side with us. And I can't even tell you how much that means to us that you would take that type of time and effort to work with us in that way. And so we look forward to, although an unusual year, to the very best year that we can all make it as we work together. And to that end, the Brighton Teachers Association would like to make a contribution to the Brighton Education Fund in your honor. Again, thanking you for all that you have done and all that you continue to do in support of us and all that we do together for our children and families. So congratulations. I'm very proud to be working in partnership with you, and thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you very much, Judy. I would like to thank again Judy and Emily for sharing those thoughts, and mention to the community that annually at this meeting, typically when we're all together, and boy, we can't wait to do that again, we have the privilege of listening to our students perform, which I think there's really no greater way to thank the board for their contribution in supporting the work here in the district than to actually see the culmination of that, the demonstration of that nurturing that you provide for, as well as Board of Education members. And so this year, although we're not together, we would not like to disappoint in that area either. We still have an opportunity to hear our kids perform, and really excited about that, thinking flexibly and differently. There are many teachers I know in the list of attendees listening into this as a webinar who have participated in supporting these students and benefited from the financial support that you've provided as a board, the policy support that you've provided for us to have programs that help nurture these talents. So to that end, there is a performance. Dr. Leaner, would you like to introduce the video that we're about to see?
I would love to. Thank you, Kevin. So Board of Education members, as a thank you for your dedication, we offer this gift of music. Your support over the years has helped create an environment where learning and service to others through the arts has flourished. Thank you for helping to shape the culture in our community that makes Brighton such a special place to live, to work, and to raise a family. A little bit of background about tonight's performance. COVID-19 has obviously made it pretty challenging to put groups of musicians together to perform. So we have a mixture of performances that we've compiled to share with you tonight. We'll start with an excerpt from a student-led community concert project led by two of our high school students that involves a number of people from around the Rochester community, but we'll focus in on a couple of Brighton students. And then that will be followed by two elementary instrumentalists. One is a family performance outdoors to celebrate Grandma's birthday, and the other is an original composition performed by the composer, one of our French Road students. Next, we'll hear two selections from our TCMS strings department, a soloist and an ensemble of our all-county strings representatives from last spring. They were not able to get together as an all-county group, but they did record this before we closed for the coronavirus. And then we'll wrap things up with a performance from our Brighton Community Band. Look for all the familiar faces in this ensemble that include students, teachers, and family members. And finally, a huge thanks to Eric Gruner for the video production work. Your immeasurable talent always comes through in the end. We appreciate your support behind the scenes. So everybody sit back, enjoy this thank you from our kids.
Hi, my name is Annie.
And I'm Andrew, and we hope that you and your families have been doing well during this time. In the middle of all this uncertainty, we believe that music is something that we can all find comfort in. Sometimes, music is simply the best medicine, and we think that this especially holds true right now.
Although we're really sad that we can't perform for you guys in person, we've been working together with some students from around the greater Rochester area to create a project called Harmonies for Healing. This virtual concert series is dedicated to all those who have been affected by this pandemic and to all the healthcare workers who have made sacrifices to keep our community safe. Thank you very much, and we hope you enjoy this concert.
Hi, my name is Alina Yang. I'm 14. I'm going to be a freshman at Brighton High School next year. The piece I'm playing for you is Salut d'Amour by Edward Elgar, and the title of that piece translates to Hello to Love in English. And this piece was his engagement gift for his fiancée. So I hope that it brings you some joy during these hard times.
I'm Bronwyn Hill and I'm in 4th grade. Today I'm going to play a song I composed called The Little Bird. To thank you for everything you do.
I'm Joseph McQuaid. I'm playing an excerpt from Corellia Overture by Sibelius. I'm a 6th grader and my teacher is Mrs. Mole.
One, two, three, cello start, and. No snapping.
That was just fantastic. Thanks so much to Eric Gruner, and Dr. Leaner and all of the people in our visual performing arts program, our music program who have led those kids, and to all of those students for sharing their talent with us. And again, what a great tribute, I think, to our Board of Education, that the work you do to support the nurturing, the development of that talent was on display tonight as a tribute to you as well. So thanks very much for that. And again, thank you all for your service. I say that very personally also as we work together very closely, and I couldn't be more grateful for your support, your guidance, and our team that we encounter so many things together and work through so many things. And it is just so much appreciated to have your leadership. So on behalf of all the kids and all the families and all the staff members, much, much appreciated. Thank you for your work. Mark?
Dr. McGowan, thank you so much. And I do want to acknowledge also on behalf of the board on the visual arts side of things this evening, we're really, really pleased again to acknowledge this year the gift of student artwork to the board. Each of us received a piece of student artwork this week, framed for us, and we certainly appreciate that and look forward to that every year, since that piece has sort of become the gift. And just tonight, on behalf of the whole group of us, we are appreciative of all of you. I mean, we love what we do, the seven of us. We're happy to do it. We're happy to serve. But what makes it work is faculty and a staff and students and families, and certainly our leadership team, but our community that is so invested in education and so supportive of the district in all that we do. And so we really are appreciative, and allow us, please, to express our appreciation this evening. Certainly PTSA and Emily, thank you for joining us, and the wonderful gift on our behalf to the food cupboard, Judy and all of our teachers for the relationship that we have, the camaraderie that we have, the working relationship that we all have. And again, thank you for your generous gift to the Brighton Education Fund on behalf of all of us. And, just to all of our performances this evening, this is such a different year. I realize that that's understated, but one of the highlight meetings of the year is in person, having this meeting and having all of the kids and the families go in and out. But as we've made do this year with Zoom and tried to make it better in ways and try to expand our horizons in ways. So tonight we are able to see performances involving parents and grandparents and staff and faculty and such a broad array. And the community band at the end there was just tremendous. So thank you to everybody to make it work. And again, thank you all for your continuing and ongoing support. We certainly appreciate it. So thank you. So we will move on with our meeting this evening. And at this point, we realize we're a little delayed this evening, but we do offer the opportunity for public participation. Those that are signed into the chat, we will call on you. And we do just remind you that you're welcome to ask a question or make a comment or a brief statement. We ask you to keep to a 3-minute maximum time limit and to be respectful. And if it is something more specific to you or your child, that instead of public comment, we ask you to contact your building principal, Dr. McGowan, or me directly. So, Dr. McGowan, having said that, do we have folks for public comment?
We do. Just a reminder to anybody also that would like to, if you just put your name into the chat, your name and address, and then we'll call on you at that point, unmute you, and ask you to share your comment with the board. The first person up to do that would be Catherine Hopkins. Catherine, let me just unmute you. There you go, Catherine. You should be good.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thanks. Hi, I'm Catherine Hopkins, a 1990 Brighton graduate. I took Gary Weiner's AP English class alongside Tara Yellen and witnessed back then what I know now was predatory grooming. Even after 30 years, I remain disturbed by those dynamics. Also disturbing was the fact that classmates and I felt we neither had the language nor the right to approach administrators with our concerns. I learned this summer that a brave soul in our class who did speak up felt dismissed and silenced by the administrators trying to protect the school's reputation. Tara got no such protection, and the damage she endured was truly devastating. Chances are also extremely high that she was not his only victim. I also learned that despite newer policies guarding against sexual harassment, current Brighton students even still feel dismissed when raising such concerns. In July, 2 of this year's grads shared in an open letter that protecting the school's reputation may still outweigh protecting the students who are the most vulnerable. Brighton is clearly not alone in this. A 2017 DOJ-funded study estimates that by high school graduation, 10% of K-12 students will experience sexual misconduct by a school employee. And denial or suppression of abuses reported to staff is so widespread that only 5% of incidents that school employees learn about will be passed on to law enforcement or child welfare personnel, although doing so is required by mandatory reporting laws. Instead, offending school staff are covered for or even relocated. On average, the study found teacher offenders will pass through 3 different districts, as did Gary Weiner. And one offender may abuse as many as 73 victims in their lifetime. Especially since Brighton has had at least 2 such offenders identified, I strongly support the call for an independent investigation that fellow alumni requested already. Additionally, I respectfully request that the board review the 2017 case study I referenced. It's found online easily. It examines schools where employee offenders were identified and includes valuable lessons to reduce the risk of further misconduct and ensure a school district's proper response when it does occur. It is available from a link I provided with my name and address in the chat. The study is called A Study of K-12 Employee Sexual Misconduct, Lessons Learned from Title IX Policy Implementation. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for your comment, Catherine. And I want to acknowledge the receipt of your letter today, and we did share that, and I did pass that on to the entire Board of Education. So thank you.
Thanks.
Dr.
I would just comment in a very quick cursory look at that document that you sent along. I would agree with you. It appears to be a very valuable resource, and I appreciate you sharing that with us. And we will certainly dig into that further. And I think it again, could be very useful to us. So thank you for sharing that as well.
Thank you very much.
You bet. Elizabeth Swoboda-Wernes. And I apologize, Elizabeth, if I did not say your name correctly.
No, that was perfect. Can you hear me?
Yes.
You can.
All right. So I am a proud BHS alumna, class of 99, and I wanted to suggest that as Brighton considers this independent investigation of cases of teacher sexual abuse, it can take inspiration from other schools that have chosen this path. And Choate Rosemary Hall, which is a private school in Connecticut, I think really well illustrates how schools that launch these kind of investigations can really take accountability for past mistakes and make changes that protect all students. Choate's story begins with an alumna named Cheyenne Montgomery, who'd been sexually abused by two of her male teachers. In 2016, Montgomery decided to share her story with the Boston Globe. She wanted to make sure that no other student would have to go through what she suffered. After the Globe story appeared, and after pressure from other alumni, Choate agreed to conduct an independent investigation into incidents of teacher abuse. To begin with, the school invited alumni to share anonymously about past abuse. These testimonies were included in the public investigator's summary, which named the teachers who were mentioned in corroborated alumni reports, in exposing abusers, in documenting their behavior, and in detailing where the school had failed to stop them. This investigation helped create major institutional change. The school has created new faculty conduct guidelines and reporting procedures to prevent future students from becoming victims. While lawsuits in individual cases have their place, they're often settled out of court rather than going to trial. When a settlement or a non-transparent investigation occurs, community members may not get any information about what really happened in teacher sexual abuse cases, since predators often continue to offend and may even do so after retirement. When parents and families are in the dark, there's still a hazard to the community. An independent investigation is a reliable way to get information about offenders to all students, parents, and Brighton residents. It would also serve as the strongest possible evidence of BCSD's commitment to correct past mistakes and protect students going forward. Finally, this would make BCSD a proactive pioneer on par with schools like Choate. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks, Elizabeth, and also thank you for the written material that you have sent us in the recent past. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Mark, there are no other people wishing to speak in the chat.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for those that did sign up. Kevin, do you have any further comments?
I do. I wanted to follow up on the comments that were made at the meeting 2 meetings ago, this Board of Education's meeting, and followed up a little while after that with the Change.org petition and the signatories to that, as we then had a chance to review that as well. And briefly put, and then I'll expand on the thought, one of the difficulties we have in this current moment, and this isn't for a lack of wanting to or for a desire to not be transparent, is that because we are in the midst of pending litigation, we're limited to the degree to which we can speak to this issue. Broadly speaking, though, I do want to address, and again, follow up in response to the survey of first response and not the last response. The Child Victims Act, as all of you know, has been an important legislative action to support victims of child abuse. Many of these situations were not brought to light until years after the incident occurred out of fear, out of shame, and we understand that. The Child Victims Act and its pending statute of limitations have triggered legal proceedings and claims of violations of the Act involving school districts and other children-oriented organizations. As you're aware, and we've talked about this again pretty openly, our district has received notifications of such claims, and they are currently under active investigation. As with all pending litigation, the district cannot comment on the allegations during an investigation and before there's been a resolution to that. And even then, we cannot disclose many of those details because of victims' privacy rights as well. I do, though, personally want to assure, and I know our board does as well, our community that our district finds all allegations of abuse against children abhorrent and antithetical to our values as a school district and our values as a society. It's just not who we are. We are committed to a safe and healthy learning environment for our students and for our staff. We provide training to all staff regarding their obligations to students and each other, and provide students with clear direction on how they can report any concerns safely and confidentially. Our training includes requirements related to mandated reporting. If an allegation is brought forward, our policy is to take swift and clear action. We notify law enforcement, the state education department, and the appropriate agencies for investigation and support for the victim. We work with an incredible group of people who are deeply saddened to have been certainly associated through the publicity around this with these types of behaviors. I have an exceptional amount of confidence in the people that work here. I would never want people to feel dismissed in raising allegations, and want to again encourage our students and staff members to safely, anonymously, and confidentially share their concerns so we can follow up on those. I know that our staff takes this very, very seriously. The safety of students and their welfare is not something that I talk about all the time only. It is something that our staff is entirely committed to as well, and takes great pride in keeping our children safe. So please, we need to know that. We encourage those concerned with the safety of any adult or child in our schools to utilize the Safe Schools Helpline for an anonymous opportunity to make a report. And we pledge, as always, to follow up on each and every call. And like I said, this is a first response. We can't respond further now. That doesn't mean that we won't continue to be able to speak to this as we move forward and as we work through this process related to the Child Victims Act. Mark?
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. McGowan. Board members, may we now have a motion to approve our agenda for the remainder of the evening, please?
So moved.
Second.
Was that Sue's that moved? Okay, yeah. Seconded by Andrea. Okay, thank you very much. Trying to watch everybody this evening. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 7 in favor and none opposed. Thank you very much. Next up, please, a motion for approval of minutes from the September 29th, 2020 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Larry and second by Karen and Christina. Was it both of you or one of you? Christina. Does anyone have any adjustments, deletions, additions to those minutes? Then all in favor, please.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. That's 7 in favor and none opposed. Now we bring back Dr. Michael Leaner, and as is tradition on this evening, we get to hear an update on our visual and performing arts program. Dr. Leaner.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate the opportunity to be able to present this evening a quick update on what's been happening in the visual and performing arts. And I'm pleased to be able to share some highlights of the work we did last year. I'd like to talk a little bit about our response to the coronavirus challenge and the closure and reopening plan and how that has impacted music and arts in our district. And then take a little glimpse into the future and take a look at some of our upcoming work to be taking place this year on behalf of all of our children, reviewing our program to make sure that it is accessible and inclusive for all of our students in the district. So I also want to just take a moment to just really quickly, again, thank all of the students and their teachers who contributed to tonight's special performance. The piece at the beginning from Andrew and Annie Guo is just a small part of a student project that they undertook on their own to make sure that people in our community that are caring for the rest of us had a little bit of quiet respite and a little bit of the gift of music. And they created 2 one-hour-long concerts that they then distributed to local healthcare agencies for first responders and frontline workers to be able to enjoy a little bit of break and musical interlude in their busy days. So I want to just point that out, and the rest of the students and their teachers, just a wonderful job. Thanks to our staff, K-12 in music and arts, for providing the inspiration and the fuel that leads to the learning and the service work that the students do. And again, thank you to you, the Board of Education, for everything that you do to support that work behind the scenes. We greatly appreciate your ongoing support of the work that happens in the classroom. So thank you for that. So we had many opportunities, as we always do, to celebrate the work of students across the district. This past year, prior to closure, we were enjoying quite the busy season with our visual and performing arts groups. And we expanded. Some of our events have become so popular we cannot fit all of the audience members into the venues. And so we began an expanded live streaming program of some of those larger events, which included our Vocal Prism and our district strings concerts. Those were actually the last 2 events that we had before the March closure. Our high school program demonstrated an innovative spirit throughout the extended auditorium renovations by embracing alternatives to traditional concerts. And so we saw the Wind Ensemble and Symphonic Band with live stream concerts, the BHS Orchestra with their version of The Shed, which is an experimental, innovative performance venue in New York City. And they set up a concert around the school building that you could actually sit in the middle of the orchestra while they rehearsed different pieces led by student musicians. The show choir, which you see the little moving GIF there in the middle, that was our dessert concert at the French Road Cafetorium. You may see a couple of folks in there that don't look like high school kids. I think there are a couple of McGowans in there. If you look really closely, there might even be a director of visual and performing arts dancing the Get Up. We learned that dance in about 15 or 20 minutes, and then we were on the spot. It was a lot of fun to do that, participate in that. So thank you to our show choir folks for inviting us to do that. The BHS choir, very popular high school groups. Big draws usually fill the auditorium. With the absence of that auditorium, moved a lot of their work online, and they actually partnered with our Gen Bar students and created a website that curated materials that tied right in with the curriculum that they were learning and the pieces that they were learning to perform, which was a really neat tech integration piece, and worked really well with some of the students who were a lot more tech-minded. You might not see them out front, but did a really nice job putting that together. So this is just a sampling of some of the images from this year. And again, I know I talk about this every year. I hope it doesn't become a mundane thing, but once again, our community of Brighton was recognized as the best community for music education, led by the Board of Education and supported by the administrative team here in Brighton. We have an incredible group of dedicated teachers that make it work in the classroom every single day for kids, and our community is being recognized for that work. So I wanted to point that out as well. On the visual art side of things, again, similar to the music program, the work of our art students has been exhibited in shows across the region. Our student artwork is frequently on display throughout the district buildings. You can always see an art display up in a hallway, putting a smile on people's faces. And And I'm glad to hear again that you appreciate the artwork for your own homes as well. There must be quite a collection at this point, and we really appreciate your gratitude around that. The students do an amazing job and are very competitive trying to get their pieces into contention for that. And our young artists are also participating in open and juried shows where their work receives accolades. We held one physical art show this year. It was an art and technology show put on by the art department in January. That was very well attended. And then our spring show went virtual. So I'll talk a little bit about that in a couple of slides, but really moving it into the YouTube world. Our students also competed at the Brighton Memorial Library. We really appreciate their 5x7 design contest every year. That show is always fun to do. And then the Start Here Middle School, High School art exhibition hosted at RIT is always a popular opportunity for our students to share their work as well. And so I promised I would talk a little bit about the challenges that we face this year with closure and reopening and social distancing and trying to make it work in the world of music and art. Our VPA team is a really creative bunch. They've risen to the challenge of teaching music and the arts in a world of social distancing where some of our students are staying at home in a remote teaching and learning environment. Others are coming into the building every other day. The creativity is astonishing to me. I shouldn't be surprised because I work with these folks every single day, but I'm just really impressed with their ability to come up with ways for our students to be engaged in the visual and performing arts. So as I mentioned earlier, our art show in the spring went virtual. Each teacher has about a 10-minute art show slideshow of work that was submitted by students that can be found on our YouTube channel, the district YouTube channel. We've moved all of our one-on-one and small group lessons in the music department onto Zoom, which allows us to maintain the relationships between teachers and students in support of music learning and leverage the technology because we can't really have large groups of students playing instruments or singing due to health guidelines. So we're able to leverage the technology to continue our lesson program. When our students are in the building at the high school, rather than engaging in large group ensembles, Mike Struzik, who is out there listening, I know, has stepped up and is teaching a mini course in music theory. It's a little teaser for our more advanced coursework, but more importantly, it's engaging students. We have about 110 students at the high school that have voluntarily signed up to take this class, and Mike is giving them an amazing opportunity to pick up on some music theory that they would not have had the opportunity to learn had we not had the closure and reorganization during the reopening. On the next slide, I'm going to share with you a neat piece of technology. So I'm going to jump ahead to the Warrior Project at 12 Corners Middle School. Jenny Mull and Dave Myers spearheaded a collaboration online where students each played their own part of a piece, and then the teachers digitally merged all of them together into a performance. It was the first time they'd ever done it. Hundreds and hundreds of hours of audio editing work went into the final project. Super proud of the work that they did and looking forward to seeing some future things, but leveraging some technology that I'll show you in a minute that makes it a lot easier to do that. And we continue our interdisciplinary projects at the middle school. Our theater production manager, Christopher Schneider, obviously does not have students with him every single day like he's accustomed to. So he moved his entire theatrical production, all of his lessons, all of his modules online using the Schoology platform. And so students can engage in self-paced study around theatrical arts. It's not a complete substitute for being backstage, working productions, but the kids are learning a lot about the academic side of that work, and we're looking forward to having them back in school as soon as it is safe to do so. And then the outreach to families over the summer to continue to serve our 4th and 5th graders through our recruitment efforts all went online. Lots of big Zoom meetings, lots of parent involvement. Really, really excited about the turnout. And again, that is leading back into those online lessons where students are engaging in the very beginning of learning their musical instruments via technology. And then adjusting our general music curriculum. We cannot obviously have students singing in close proximity to one another, so we've shifted our work more towards the movement, dance, and rhythm side of the curriculum, along with music appreciation and international music to really leverage the things that we can do. And it's all guided by the standards which underlie all the work, regardless of whether or not we're performing through movement or through the performance of instruments or through singing. So I wanted to show you technology and the arts merged. I think there was some genius involved about 6 years ago when my job was created, where half of my work was in instructional technology and the other half was in the visual and performing arts. It just took a global pandemic for it to all come together. So technology and the arts merged together. So I'm going to actually jump out of my screen share here because the lag on a PowerPoint presentation doesn't really do this justice. So I'm hoping to get this a little bit closer to what it really sounds like by going right to the video. So please bear with me for just a moment. Okay. Okay, so what you see on the screen right now is a group of 5 musicians that look like they're in a Zoom meeting, but they're actually using a piece of technology that's a web-based online music sharing platform called Upbeat Music. And this is actually in development right now. There's a group of programmers and musicians in Ann Arbor, Michigan that are working on this project. And as you can imagine, Mike Struzik and the rest of the BHS music team jumped right on the opportunity to utilize this right away. And what this allows you to do is actually play in real time with one another. I don't know if you've ever tried to sing happy birthday to a family member on Zoom, but none of the words go in the right places, right? All the lag is different. So what this software does is it actually allows the students to play, and it puts everything together so that it sounds like they're in the same room. So I'm going to give you just a quick little demo. It's about a minute long, and probably the best one to show this would be percussion, because when percussion gets off, you know right away. So let's give a listen. The video may not keep up, but listen to the audio that the students get to see in this new tech project. So that's really, as you can imagine, pretty revolutionary for our kids to be able to do this. At this point, we can have up to 16 students that can participate in an ensemble online together. And so we're really looking forward to leveraging this to help students create music together in an ensemble. That's the part that we've been missing the most with our program. And just going to jump back. Okay, so we're back to the presentation. Okay, so again, really looking forward to leveraging that to help kids. And I have to tell you, it's really interesting. When I was helping Eric put together that video, I had an emotional reaction. I didn't realize how long it has been since I've heard live music performed by students. And I had a little bit more of an emotional reaction tonight. So I hope that it moved you as well to hear the work that the kids were doing. It's been a long, long time, but we're looking forward to getting kids back together, again, using the technology. Getting students out into the community as well. Our students continue to share their love of the arts out in the community. And again, before we got into March, we're performing and exhibiting in a wide variety of locations. In the spring, we really missed being at Frontier Field and the Lilac Festival and the International Jazz Ensemble work, where we would have had groups performing as well as in spring art shows. But we did have a pretty busy fall and winter, so we're thankful for that. A big highlight for the year was our jazz band performing at the State Superintendent's Conference, invited there by the sitting or incoming president or sitting president. I can't remember which Kevin was at the time, but that was a real highlight for our kids to be able to go up, be part of that, get to meet some of the thought leaders in the field of education across the state and be part of that. So we're really pleased to have had that opportunity. And what a great group of students in that particular band. They just really, they were really a sight to see and listen to. So nice to have them involved in that event. We're also really proud of the accomplishments that our students had last year. We had 11 students selected for the big show at RIT this year, and they represented all the way through TCMS. And the high school did a very, very nice job preparing for that and exhibiting their work. Again, the best community for music education, 11 years in a row. Even this year with closure, we have over 1,600 students in curricular music ensembles, which is a testament to their dedication and our family's dedication to music education. So thank you for that. We're down a little bit because we can't have our big elementary choirs meeting quite yet. We don't have a room big enough for 200 fourth graders to be singing all in one place. So we're gonna have to hold off on that for a little while. We did have 6 students selected for the All-State Conference this year, and it's going to be a virtual event. So they'll be getting together using technology similar to what I just showed you with the Upbeat Music app, and working in small groups online, talking about music and listening to one another perform. So that group of kids, what a wonderful group. It's been fun watching them grow up, and they're really doing a nice job. And then Jess Williams did qualify and was selected for the National Choir. This is our 8th year of having students represent Brighton Central Schools at that national event in one of the big ensembles. Unfortunately wasn't able to go, but the recognition is still significant, and wanted to make sure that his name got out there tonight as well. Did a great job, getting selected for that. And we are looking forward to looking out into the future. We're looking forward to continuing to expand our relationship with the Rochester Philharmonic Orchestra. Our French Road staff is working with them to create motivational and instructional videos that are shared with students to help them learn the ins and outs of instruments as 4th and 5th graders. And they're learning from the best of the best. The RPO players themselves are helping out with that. We're looking forward, and I can see it happening now, the completion of the BHS auditorium renovations. They're getting ready to put seats in there in the next 3 weeks. So really looking forward to seeing that come together. But more importantly, really looking forward to our professional development work this year. It's significant work that its time has come to really evaluate the student representation in our program through the diversity lens. We've already started looking at the cultural significance of a lot of the music that we use in our early elementary program through the critical lens of diversity, and making changes to some of the early songs that students learn, because the meanings behind them are not necessarily what Brighton stands for. And we really didn't even realize that until we started talking about it. We're also really looking forward to whether we're forced into it or not by current situation, a deep dive into digital media in the fine arts, both in visual and in performing arts. And all this work is being led by our visual and performing arts facilitator. Tip of the hat to Debbie, Mike, and Sarah. They're amazing. The workload that they carry on top of the teaching work that they do is what makes it all work for all of our kids. So I really want to say thank you to them for really going above and beyond. And their passion for music and art really stands out in the curriculum work and their leadership. So thank you for that. And finally, wouldn't be a VPA presentation without our second graders participating as well. We could not put them together into a single, so this is a photo montage, but really the message is the same to all of you, the Board of Education and everyone out there. Thank you for your support. We really appreciate all of the work, and I really appreciate the ability to come up and share it with you today. So thank you for that.
Wonderful, Mike. Thank you so much. And I think that, it's always a pleasure to see our performing arts students. And I think that, again, a reminder that the overwhelming majority of Brighton students are involved in the visual and performing arts. And so many of our students are engaged that way through all of their learning and their creativity. And, I just, you use the phrase COVID creativity, I think, on one of your slides, but ingenuity we've talked about frequently, but just the ability, our thanks and our appreciation to all of our leaders and, our teachers and staff to be able to make this work in whatever way possible. And, we all know that the students love it, and they love it in any way that they can figure out to do it also. So thank you so much to everybody to continue to carry on and, in an ever-changing world that we're in that's going to take us through this school year in some way or form or fashion. So thank you so much. And again, thank you for your report this evening.
It's a pleasure, Mark. Thank you.
All right. Take care, Mike. Thank you. And thank you for all of your work. And, I don't want to be remiss, all of our technical people who assisted you in putting together the student performances tonight in the beginning and in your show right there, your slideshow. We know how hard that is to be able to pull everything together and make it work right when we're not together. So my appreciation, our appreciation to all of those folks also, please. So thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I'll share that with the whole team.
Thank you very much. We do have one more item of business this evening. Board, could we have a motion, please, to approve the consent agenda for this evening?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Karen and seconded by Larry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. That's 7 in favor and none opposed on the consent agenda. Board members, any other items of business this evening? It's okay. You've got time. I think the game went to halftime. Kevin didn't leave yet. Dr. McGowan, anything further this evening?
Definitely not.
Okay. We next meet then on October 27th. Again, we will continue virtual meetings for the foreseeable future. And we will entertain a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Andrea.
Andrea and Julene.
And seconded by Julene. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's 7 in favor and none opposed, and we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been a special presentation from the Brighton Central School District Board of Education.